So episode 2 of the Bleach 1000-Year Blood War just dropped, and I'm going to be documenting all of the sort of major changes. There's going to be some kind of useless shit in there too, but most of this is sort of major. Okay, so the first change is that the anime changed Yuki's ringtone. I said we were doing important changes, and I wasn't kidding. In the manga, there was a gag about it being a recording of Shin'o humming. But in the anime, it's just a normal ringtone. Nobody comments about it. The phone call between him and Akon or whatever is also shortened. There's no mention of Sasakibe's funeral anymore. Akon's exposition of the events in the Soul Society is shorter in the show. He doesn't mention that the intruder near the gate is just a single person, but nobody can be sure because all witnesses were killed. In the anime, it kind of says, people came in, killed a bunch of Soul Reapers, then left with no explanation. I get why they cut it, because it's never mentioned again in the manga. Like, you think there's this thing, it might have been just one guy, but nobody can know because all witnesses are killed. You think it can be mentioned again, but it's never fucking brought up after that. I kind of wish they would have included it just so they could expand on who it was who did it. In the manga, Shin'o doesn't, explain who Sasakibe is like they do in the show. The anime added brief scenes of the Karakura group alone after hearing Akon's report. In the manga, we only see Ichigo, but in the anime, we see Uryu, Chad, and Ohime too. They also removed Ichigo's inner monologue, thinking about something Uryu told him off screen. Basically, this monologue was about how, Akon only told Yuki all that stuff because Ichigo was present, and that they wanted him to be up to date with the situation. The animated guess kind of leaves it up to interpretation. The show removed some of Pesse's jokes after he arrived in the world of the living. The anime cut almost all dialogue at the funeral of Sasakibe. In the manga, Byakuya explained why Sasakibe was so well respected, like how he had a bankai before Shunsui and Ukitake, and how he could have been a captain but chose not to because of his loyalty to Yamamoto. The anime also added a lot more people to the funeral. In the manga, nobody except Yamamoto, Byakuya, Renji, and some unnamed background characters are shown. So it's kind of a weird mix between adding more people to mourn for him and also showing people mourn for him. But personally, I'm fine with it. I was told that they would have cut it completely a couple days before, so I was worried that it wasn't going to be there. But we saw it, and we saw the most important part was that Yamamoto was grieving over his friend. I just kind of wish we did get the exposition, too, because it's sort of important, because he's hyped up as a big guy later on, but a lot of the hype comes from the scene, so maybe it'll be shown later, maybe not, but I'm just glad they actually did show the funeral, because it was a great scene in the show, too. The brief scene of Ichigo's sisters was made just for the show, which is cool. We may not hear them speak, but at least we're seeing them, The anime removed Nell not remembering Chad, which is cool, we can't disrespect Chad like this. He's gonna get disrespected in the show itself, so we can at least have the characters not disrespect him. The scene of Hollybell being captured was made up just for the show, which I think is good, because in the manga, her being chained up, which was shown earlier in the episode, that was literally the only time we see her in the manga. But the show adds a little scene of her being taken. A few complaints, though. She was in the same position in that episode, in that scene, as she was when she was chained up. She didn't have any dialogue either. So I wish she would have done more, right? And also, Yuha looked really goofy to me. He was kind of flying there with his hands glowing, and then every time it cut back to him, he was in the exact same pose. I guess they kind of did want to save money, I guess, but I don't know why he was doing that, because he doesn't fight like that. He doesn't fight with weird glowy hands. That's how he absorbs energy, so I just can't comprehend why he would be doing that for 30 seconds. But besides that, the scene was really cool. It had cool lighting, the lightning effects were cool, but Yuha's stance was kind of strange to me. In classic Bleach anime fashion, more Kurosakis were said. This is the only time I'm going to mention it, because I don't think every video needs a dozen, and then this female character said Kurosaki-kun moments. Because there was a lot of them. I think even in the last episode they were said more, but in this episode they added 3, one scene of Pesce asking for help. That too was added. Pesce didn't ask for help in the manga. Chad specifically said, "You don't need to ask. We'll help you anyway." But Pesce's actually asked in the anime. In the manga, Uryu never bothers to mention that the enemy may be Quincy, like he tries to say in the show. He didn't say it in the show either because he was interrupted, but he was going to. For some reason, Jugo is wearing a hood inside. The scene of him talking to Yuha is also cut. A lot of it, at least. We don't see him make the order to capture the Urankar, which we see done later. We also don't see Jugo talk about Ichigo's Bankai not being able to be stolen. It's sort of implied. I wish they would have shown this scene, though, just because I do like Yuha in like the castle setting. The scene of the army moving Urankar is now placed after Ichigo's conversation with Urahara in the Garganta, instead of before it. I think this is done because it was like an end of chapter cliffhanger in the manga, but the anime just had this scene anyway, so it makes more sense to not show it. Because it would have been like showing the army, then cutting over to Urahara, and then showing the army again. Sort of totally useless, so it got cut. A lot of that happened in the last episode too, where there was like cliffhangers that were just cut because they wouldn't make sense. The anime doesn't have Orihime yell Santa and Keshun while they're falling. Instead, we just see her hairpin return to her after they already landed. That was in the manga too, but the anime just has that. So it's still pretty clear how they saved themselves, but they just didn't explicitly say it. In the manga, there was a whole gag about Ichigo covering up Pesce's mouth that was removed in the anime. Pesce is all around a lot more serious in the show, which isn't saying much. I mean, he still jokes around pretty much every scene he's in, but they just remove like two of his jokes. So he's a bit more serious. In the anime, we learn about the Sternritter and the letters assigned to them way earlier. Like in the manga, we don't learn that Quilge is Sternritter J until chapter 500. In his introduction scene, by the way, is in chapter 487. So that's like 13 chapters. So they did reveal it pretty early. The word Sternritter also isn't used until a couple of chapters after his introduction. So yeah, pretty, not like that major, I guess, because we still don't know what Sternritter is, or like what the letters mean, but it is kind of mentioned a lot earlier, which I think is cool. I hope all the Quincy have the cool, like, introductions with their letter and shit. The anime made the Tres Bestias more calm. In the manga, they start arguing as soon as they confront Quilge. The anime also cuts the start of the fight, though it was literally just a single panel, and it wouldn't make sense without the arguing. The anime removes the gag about Nell watching Ichigo's back, which I found, it was pretty funny, but it's not there in the show, and I kind of get why. I mean, they're kind of running out of time, so it makes sense to cut the kind of useless gag. The show makes the sneeze some sort of Sero or something. It causes an explosion. Maybe it's just like a really strong sneeze. Maybe it's a Sero, who knows. In the manga, it was just like a kind of a regular sneeze. It wasn't anything special about it. The anime changes the fight a lot. Like, more Quincy are shown to be killed. They also attack Quilge more. And he wasn't attacked until after he tried recruiting them in the manga, and we never actually see it. They actually do show it in the anime. So it's less of a change and more of an addition. Like, we see like a couple Quincy killed in the manga, but in this we see a ton of them get killed. And then we never see them attack Quilge. But in this, he's getting like stabbed, and getting like attempting to be stabbed at least. And then like one of them like swings their sword and causes an explosion of dirt around them. Pretty cool stuff. All additions to the show. Very cool additions. Mayuri's report to the other captains is now combined with the scene that shows Ichigo encounter Quilge. Like, half of Mayuri's speech is cut too. I'm guessing most of that stuff will be shown in the next episode. It's pretty important exposition. I'm guessing they just cut it because there isn't enough time. And ending it with the, oh, these enemy are Quincy thing is a lot more potent than Yamamoto being like, okay, guys, get ready for an attack. So I get why they cut it. I'm guessing it's going to be in the next episode, so who cares? So yeah, that's all the changes in episode 2 of the Thousand Year Blood War. I'll be back next week with episode 3. Hopefully, it's just as good. This episode adapted 4 chapters, 485 to 488. So mostly 4 chapters, with some like scenes cut, I guess. But that's one less than last week. So I'm guessing most episodes will be paced this way. Some probably have more, some will probably have less, but generally speaking, I think most will be 4. So yeah, personally speaking, I liked all of the changes this week. Tell me if you liked them, tell me if you didn't, tell me if I missed one. I probably didn't though, because I was comparing it, and I know what I didn't include on purpose. Maybe I fucking missed one though. Tell me if I did.